What's up, guys? Today we're talking about what are the best times to trade Forex, and this is a very good question, and knowing the answer to this question can increase your profitability, and we have the data to back that claim. The first thing you need to know is the different sessions. So there's 4 sessions: London, New York, Sydney, and Tokyo, and all these times are in Eastern Standard Time, or also known as New York Standard Time. Now, what does the data say about this question? So if you look at this graph, you have profitability by time frame, top 5 traded pairs, Eastern time. Now on the left you can see 40% all the way to 60%. This is how profitable traders are during the hours. Now you can see at midnight during the New York time, at midnight at 1 a.m., profitability is around 55%. That means at this time when people are trading, 55% of traders are in profits. That's pretty good. And throughout the New York session, it hovers around 55%. Then when we get to 6 a.m. all the way to maybe 11 to 12 p.m. in the afternoon during the New York session, profitability just goes down very drastically, all the way to 40%, even to 30%. And this makes sense because during that time from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern, you have a lot of fundamentals being released, such as NFP, CPI data, retail sales, Powell speeches. So no wonder people are not profitable during that time, because it's hard to predict the markets, especially before the fundamental release. And that's one of the primary reasons why our live session is at 11 a.m. Eastern. It happens after all this noise has occurred, so that way we have a clean, calm market to trade for the rest of the day. Now after the New York session, it's pretty quiet, and it doesn't pick up until the Asia and Sydney session at 5 and 7 p.m. respectively. So what does this data tell you? If you want to stay profitable, you want to trade either during this time or this time, and you want to avoid this huge little slump down here. Let's look at something else. So the average hourly moves by hour of the day in Euro USD. So similar thing, okay, you have average pips moved per hour. You have 10 pips all the way to 20 pips per hour in the hours of the day. So this is midnight. You can see at midnight, from 12 at midnight all the way to 4 a.m. Eastern, you can see a huge boost in movement in Euro USD all the way to 20 pips. And then from, during the London session, it kind of calms down at 6 a.m. to set at 8 a.m. And then at 8 a.m. all the way to 11 a.m., it reaches its peak. So markets are moving around 25 pips per hour, and this makes sense again because a lot of fundamentals are being released, and obviously a lot of volatility is introduced, and news makes the markets go crazy at times. So that's why you have the most movement here. And then after all that news is done, people in New York go on their lunch break. It slumps down hard. It's just a free fall all the way down until the Sydney slash Asia Open, and then you have a nice decent amount of movement. So once again, this goes in line with our live sessions starting at 11 a.m. Eastern, just because we're going to be out of all the news and we have a nice clean entry point for our trades. And this is why a lot of our traders from around the world, the live session benefits them. So even if you can't watch the live session, you can watch the recorded version later in the day, because most of our trades start going to profit or activated during the London session. So summarizing all that, you can see a nice little infographic just to show you the overlapping. You can see why London session is so great, because the overlapping of the sessions other than the London session. So you can see the London session right here. It overlaps with the New York session, but it also overlaps with the Tokyo session, right? As you can see, the yellow bar sticks out here. So you have 1, 2, 3 sessions, 3 major banks all happening at one time trading in the markets. So that's where the major movements come through, and that's why I love staying up sometimes to trade, but it is definitely hard for our Eastern Standard people, but you have to do what you got to do. So to summarize everything in this video, what is the consensus and my recommendation? So recommended hours in Eastern Standard Time Zone is to trade from 2 p.m. Eastern Standard to 6 a.m. the next day. The ideal hours is from 10 p.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. the next day, or in military time, 22 p.m. to 12 p.m. And you can see an increase in your profitability. You aren't collecting swaps or commission for entering trades too early in the day, and a lot of the movements are much easier to predict. So that is, in my opinion, the best time of the day to trade Forex.